Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. We're back on the warrior. So I just want to give you an update. I've finally leveled up to level 20. So that's the goal, the first goal I had, and to gear up to start tanking the first dungeon, which will be Dead Mines. So this is WoW Classic. I just want to go through the gear I've got so far because I've managed to get a few good pieces, the engineering which I've been skilling up, and also some macros which I've set up which will help greatly with tanking and just general leveling. So the gear at the moment I've got, which through engineering I've skilled up the engineering to 150. I don't have enough gold to buy the next level of engineering, so I've had to stop at 150. But these green tinted goggles have 8 stamina, which is fantastic, and a bit of spirit, which will help as well. I grabbed some shoulders, no strength or stamina, but good armor. A pretty not great cape. A good chest, some alright cuffs, decent sword, decent shield, some okay boots, the decent legs, which I grabbed earlier. And some gauntlets. So looking pretty good. Armor's not bad. That's 40% damage reduction. Defensive stance will obviously give me another 10% damage reduction. That is. But with the engineering as well, I've made some good bombs which will help stun the mobs, and also the dynamite. So I might do a take on this group to show you how this warrior is doing with his gear and the engineering bombs and dynamite. I also want to go through some macros which I've set up. There's one very good one, this one, which allows me to cast charge but also blood rage and keep the rage from the blood rage. As you can see from the tooltip for blood rage, you're considered in combat once you activate blood rage, which means you can't charge because charge cannot be used in combat. So this macro lets you charge and blood rage and keep the rage from it. So that's really good for charging in and keeping rage. And then also the macro lets me swap straight away into the defensive stance. So you'll see this when I take on these mobs. Charge in, blood rage, swap to defensive stance, and set up for a really good encounter. I've also set up defensive stance, a shield block macro, which allows me to mouse over macro, which will help with casting shield block, and also allows me to cast revenge. And another macro, which is the Sunder Armor macro, which is again is a mouse over macro. So I don't have to swap targets, I can just mouse over another target, and then this macro will allow me to hit that target. So there's a few macros I got set up. So I hit level 20, so I'll also get retaliation, which is fantastic. It's a 30-minute cooldown, which is quite long, but in a dungeon you should be able to use it 2, maybe 3 times, depending on the length of the dungeon. So I might show what this guy can do. So I might just use retaliation here, none of the engineering bombs or dynamite. There's 5, level 16, 17 mobs, so we'll see how we go. So I think I might use retaliation, charge in, shield block, revenge. Maybe I will use a bomb. New mobs come in. So I'm almost dead, but I think I should be fine. You can see that was 5 or 6 plus an add. So he's doing quite well. The only thing is rage generation's a bit oh shoot this guy. So that was not bad. Almost dead, but did quite well. But that was the retaliation. The retaliation ability helping greatly. So we'll get out of there before we die again. So that's a good example of, you know, how this build is doing at the moment. Just normal mobs as well. I'll also show you the talent tree, because I decided not to level as protection, because that's apparently a bad idea. And there we go. So the talents I've gone for is to spend some in arms, improved rend, 2 into deflection, which adds 2% to parry, so it gets me to the next level. I'll probably spend points in tactical mastery until I get up to anger management. Anger management, apparently that tooltip doesn't tell the whole story. It also generates 1 rage per second while you're in combat. So I think once I get that, that will be excellent for tanking. So that's the state of this warrior at the moment. I will find some time, probably at night when the kids are asleep, to tank dead mines. So that should be very interesting. I'll probably be using a lot of these dynamite, and we'll see what happens with rage generation. I want to see how my DPS does as well. Not that you have to worry too much about DPS when you're tanking, it's more threat, but it'll be interesting to see how this guy goes with DPS. Let's see these guys drop a bomb. Oh, did he drop it? There we go. Tab target, drop a shout. Good thing about the shield block is that it's a guaranteed block. Which means it's a guaranteed revenge. Revenge proc. No, not attacking. So I almost died, but was that four mobs? So pretty good. Alright, thanks again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time, which will be tanking the dead mines. See you later.